Okay, so I just did a live stream about Josh McDaniels being fired and the GM for the Raiders and how we didn't know where this was going to go. Is O'Connell going to start? Are they going to start Jimmy G? Is the organization serious about moving forward this year, or are they tanking? What's going to happen? O'Connell's the only answer. You've got Hoyer, you've got Jimmy G, and O'Connell. If the answer is to start any other player than O'Connell, the Raiders don't have their act together. This is not change. This is just a scapegoat type situation. But in the middle of the stream, and I'm going to show you that part right now, midstream, this news broke on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, by the way. On Underdog Fantasy, the Raiders are leaning towards starting Aidan O'Connell. And let me just tell you right now, you're going to watch the rest of this video. I'm going to show you the whole clip, the debating, all the people on the phone line dialing into the show, giving their 2 cents. But this is great news for Davante Adams. If Davante had a great quarterback, and I'm not calling O'Connell great, he doesn't fall in this category. He could be someday. He looks really good. He's promising. If Adams had a great quarterback, not even elite, but a great quarterback, he would be a top 6 to 10 overall player. Adams is that good. I know a lot of people think I don't like Adams because I've been crapping on a situation all offseason long, which I've been 100% right on. But it's not about Adams or his talent level. He's amazing. But if you give him O'Connell, while that might not be a great quarterback, he's a competent guy. He's a competent quarterback that I believe could return mid-second round value equivalent, if we're drafting today, Davante Adams value. And so that's what the remainder of this video is about. Because again, you might want to watch the full video on McDaniels, and I broke it live. And then midstream, again, this news breaks, and you're going to see a part of that. But I wanted to do a separate video so you guys could get right to the meat and potatoes of Davante Adams and how much more valuable is Davante Adams with this news right here mixed with the firing of McDaniels. What is the likelihood we get a second round type value back in return of Davante Adams? The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. Raiders are leaning towards starting Aidan O'Connell at quarterback in Week 9. That's fantastic news. According to Vincent, blah, 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 from Las Vegas Review-Journal. As I said, you want to grab Aidan O'Connell off your waiver wire immediately if you're in a Superflex league, because, and this would be great for Adams. This is why we're doing the live stream tonight. Adams' only hope of becoming, let's call it again, if he had a quarterback that was elite or competent, or even his former Derek Carr self, that's top 11, 12 overall value in fantasy. That's a first rounder. He's a first rounder under Derek Carr, under Aaron Rodgers, under, if he was healthy, under even quarterbacks at that level. He is a top 12 overall player, a first rounder. With Aidan O'Connell, I think you can get maybe mid-second round value out of Davante Adams. So this is fantastic news. It's the best thing that could happen to Davante Adams is value. It would make me potentially pause instead of selling low. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't sell high if I have an opportunity to, but I certainly would pull back the reins on selling low with O'Connell starting. But go ahead. Who was I talking to? Sebastian. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Yes, sir. Agree or disagree that from like a real life standpoint, Jimmy G might be the luckiest NFL player of all time, given that he was drafted at pretty much the peak of Tom Brady's career. He had the coaching. He had Belichick at that time. He had the GOAT. And then he got pretty much a fully loaded contract for never really have started a full season. When he got to San Francisco, then he got paid his salary over there on top of being under Shanahan. I don't know. Do you agree or disagree that he's just been extremely lucky given his coaching and circumstances leading up to before Las Vegas?
I definitely think he's lucky. I think that he had a coach that would mask his deficiencies. It was kind of like, let's see how we can trick everybody today into thinking you're a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. Maybe pre-ACL 2019, he had an ability to maybe develop into a pretty solid quarterback, but he was never going to be great. He was never going to be great. Played in a good system, And we knew this coming to Las Vegas, that he had everybody tricked. Not only that, for anybody that wants to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo being this good, quick release guy, you're a little hard on him, Smitty. He's a good person, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Garoppolo is a snake. And just because he puts on a great smile, and just because he can trick everybody into thinking he's a stand-up guy, maybe he's a good person, like in terms of like if somebody was in need, he would give them something. I'm not judging him necessarily on his off-the-field actions, but in terms of locker room, in terms of a teammate, even though his Niner teammates loved him, his coaches despised him. He wouldn't return Shanahan or Lynch's phone call during an entire offseason when he was injured and they didn't know what his status was. And he showed up at the combine 2 years ago, injured, and said, I need surgery. And they had no time to react. No time whatsoever to react. He showed up to the Raiders facility when they were going to announce and have him sign his contract. This was his debut. This was his press conference. He showed up injured. And he couldn't even sign his contract. He couldn't pass a physical because he was, again, hiding his injury. And so what did they do? The Raiders said, Jimmy, you can't sign this contract. You can't pass a physical. What in the hell's going on? He's a snake. And what did Jimmy do? They had to restructure his contract, take away his upfront money, and put it as a bonus that if he passed his physical, he could turn it into salary, into contract money instead of bonus money. And Jimmy Garoppolo had to pass his physical in order to not get cut, and they redid his contract so that they could cut him if he didn't pass his physical and owe him $0. But guess what Jimmy G did with his lucky string of luck, like you're saying, is he showed up, skated by, and passed his physical like we knew he would. Barely in time, has surgery, barely passes his physical. Guy is a snake. He's a snake. He constantly tricks everybody into giving him big fat money. He robbed the Niners, robbed the Raiders with all that money. Absolute straight robbery.
I agree.
Anyway, I just get tired of people saying he's such a stand-up guy. If he's such a stand-up guy, why did Kyle Shanahan say when they said something about Jimmy, like after he left, like the guy will never return a phone call. He'll never return your phone call. You won't be able to get a hold of him. You don't know how he's doing. You don't know how he's progressing. He's hiding everything from you. And then he shows up injured.
That's not a good teammate.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, bro. Appreciate you, Hank. Is this Hank? No, this is Sebastian, right?
Yeah.
All right, Sebastian later. Hank, you got 30.
Hearing O'Connell news, man, that's great news for the Raiders, bro. Because every single receiver, even Michael Mayer, I think it's going to be great for the Raiders.
Yeah, Mayer to the moon. So it sounds like O'Connell to start, according to news. It's not for sure or concrete, but it feels like, it's heading in that direction. It's what we came live to talk about. Anything else, bro?
Oh, no, I just wanted to say that, man. I'm just happy for them.
Yeah, O'Connell to start is what we're hearing. All right.
Yep.
Later, Hank, Frank, same thing, right? See you, Hank. Later.
See you.
The Cub, you got 30.
Damn, am I still breaking up? I'm good?
You're good now, Cub, for now.
Okay, it's AOC season. I feel like on the timing and everything, like you got to read into like the whole tea leaves. I follow the team really deep. The whole timing and everything after the whole trade deadline and no moving, and also firing the GM with the head coach. I feel like so just moves made by McDaniels throughout the season, holding back O'Connell with his draft picks, and just starting Hoyer over him was a slap to the face to us as a fan base. I was like, okay, why'd you spend a 4th round pick and then just start a dude that played 12 years or his last 12 years in the league, he hasn't even had a win. Like, we're not even seeing what you spent our draft capital on. and just trying to play safe. And he always tried to play safe, and I feel like his ego got to him is the reason why he's fired. I feel like what happened to next week, I feel like Davis wanted to see more AOC, and he fired McDaniels because I feel like McDaniels wanted to go with Jimmy Garoppolo. And just that ego, because I just, like, there was 1 week where Adams complained, and then he just tried to force feed him and just change our whole game plan of the whole offense just to try to prove a point. Also, just like running the ball every play just to get our first touchdown on primetime TV just to try to prove a point. I'm just so glad that he's gone as a Raider fan, and we're able to move on, and we can see what our draft picks and our rookies can provide for us, because they weren't even playing before him. We traded up to get Myers, and we never even played him until recently. And then we held him back on PT because we were trying to get Renfro more PT when we never had given him PT. I don't know. It was just weird. And
Mayor to the appreciate your comments. I got your point. Mayor is definitely going to the moon. Bad. Mayor's definitely going to the moon.
Mayor's getting more PT for sure. And I feel like everything is going to be a lot more simplified and more focused on the game plan, more so just trying to prove a point every week. Or somebody complains he's got to call the first 7 plays to the wide receiver in the first entry of a game, when the point of playing the Bears was who's going to run the ball the most. That was the first team that ran the ball the most would have won that game.
Yeah.
And the reason why the Bears won that game because they were able to run against us the whole second half and just killed us.
Gotcha, Cub. Cub to the moon.
Hey, Smitty, quick question. What's stopping Cooper Kupp from being in a Davante Adams situation, especially with the Stafford injury, Puka coming along, Kyron coming back, and they might start losing too. I mean, the Rams aren't a good football team.
What is stopping him from being that? And the Stafford's ability to be on the field. If Stafford can't get on the field, if he ends up getting so hurt that he can't play, then Cooper Kupp and Puka cease to exist to the degree they do now moving forward. It's not what people want to hear, and I know people think I'm wrong because they own Puka. Like, anybody that owns Puka or Kupp right now, they're going to disagree with me. But I own Puka and Kupp too in several leagues. I'm just being honest with you, and I'm telling you what you don't want to hear. Now, does that mean that Stafford will get injured? Or, I mean, he's hurt right now, but get injured to the point where he can't play football? Or let's say the UCL injury is so bad that it ends up becoming a tear. I don't know whether Stafford's going to stay on the field. He's been banged up multiple times already this year, and he's very injury prone. So the odds of Stafford missing 4 or 5 games at some point, and we're running out of time too, so that means that he'd get hurt relatively quick, are pretty significant. They're not like minute. So to answer your question, the fact that Stafford is still on the field right now, Kupp and Puka will remain inside the top 12 wide receivers, one of which will be 5 each week. The other will be 6 to 12. And that's how productive McVay's system is. But the moment Stafford goes down, McVay does not have another quarterback that can play the system the way Stafford does. This is Big Ben to Antonio Brown. It's the same thing, Stafford to Kupp and Puka. There is no comparable. He's a laser locking monster, Stafford, on these 2 wide receivers. Isn't it odd that Stafford is not a top 5 quarterback? How is Stafford not a top 5 quarterback when Cooper Kupp and Puka are both top 10 wide receivers? It's kind of crazy.
Well, he's been kind of super inefficient, and I think Kyron Williams' injury really hurt Stafford too. Just their offense is pretty unbalanced now.
Yeah, but my point is that Stafford is partly McVay's system, and Stafford is a laser locking quarterback. He's spoon feeding these guys targets. The moment he goes down, if he goes down, maybe he doesn't. What we know of the Rams' offense ceases to exist. Maybe they still run Kyron similar, but they won't be as efficient because they won't be throwing the football down the field, and defenses will stack the box more. Yeah. But there's no way they can replicate what is going on right now in LA anything remotely close to the way it's going without Stafford. So again, to answer your question, Kupp is not in this situation because Kupp has a quarterback. Kupp has McVay. Granted, Stafford's injured. He could miss a week. They might have him miss a week. Then they have the bye week. But it's like, that's plain and simple, terms. He very, very well could be. Kupp and Puka could vanish, quickly if Stafford goes down for the year for something. All right. Appreciate you, Elvis.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.